Thanks for tuning in to Too Strong, where Too Strong is always better than one. Today, we got to do some exposing some transgender churches. Stay tuned. Don't go to nowhere because we won't. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Too Strong. Once again, Too Strong as always, better than one. We have downtown Marlon Brown in the house and myself, Corey. Today we have another issue that we need to tackle. And it's really and I mean literally tackle. In fact, I should rephrase that and say I have an issue that should have been tackled because we are allowing these pedophiles, the LGBTQ, um, the gays, all the do dirties. The do dirties not only have they taken over our government, now we have allowed them to take over our church, right? Um, and this is of God, and we are not standing up for God. That's my opinion. And if we are, we're not standing up for God enough because how did this happen? You got these church organizations that's literally allowing it to happen, not just sitting back watching it happen, giving them permission to do this and start churches in God's name. And then in front of our kids and everything. And we as Christians, I'm just keeping it real at this point, and this is my opinion again, we should be ashamed of ourselves for allowing this thing to happen. So let's talk about it. What's up with you, Marlon Brown?
Man, I'm good. When I came across this at first, I was kind of thinking to myself, well, maybe it's just a one-off. It's just one church that's being seen a lot. And the more I dug into it, the more disappointed I got because what I started to realize was that this is not just a one-off. It's not just a fly-by-night thing. They are intentional about doing it under the guise of inclusivity. Because you've got to accept everybody, and God is love, and He don't judge. And I think that's why we see so many people in the audience that come in that don't know us. Why you all judging?
Yeah,
Because
why you say this? Why you
yeah,
say that?
because
God
God don't
wouldn't have
judge.
you. God wouldn't have you to say that. You don't know what God will have me to say, peanut.
God don't judge. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what He coming back to do. To exactly do that. Like
Right.
I don't know where you got that idea from, but what you're telling me is that God different. God changes, right? And when He tell you directly He don't change, you're not telling me He does. He does change. He don't judge people no more. He accepts everything.
He stopped.
Yeah, he just quit. I'm tired of this. Y'all do what you want. It's okay. It's all good. Um, a couple of the examples we found, which is unfortunate for us to not be able to show you because you know how YouTube be. Um, but I will show you at least. I'll show you one, and I'll direct you to two others, and I'll have you hear another thing. Um, what they're starting to do now, and this is approved. Okay, I want you to understand. It's approved by at least the Methodists and the Presbyterian conglomerate. We're not talking about a church here in the corner of the United States. The executing body that hands out certificates of preaching are allowing not just um, gay pastors, but transsexual and drag queen pastors as well, under the auspices of, hey, accept everybody and God is love. And one in particular, this one you'll have to go see for yourself, is I don't know how to describe this thing. I can't call him a person. Um,
Hey, wait, hold on, Marlon. I gotta shut my computer down and come back in.
okay,
So
no
I'll be
problem.
gone for a minute.
Uh, one of the one of the guys, and I'll show you the picture so you can see what they look like. I'll at least do that for you, um, because you need to understand the implications here. So there you go. We'll take him down. I think he restarted it. And there you go. Hope Church. Okay? Take a gander at that. Okay. What he espouses is this, that the cross, when you hear it, you're going to get mad. The cross is a prime example of the queer and drag life, of the queer and drag life. That the secret of the gospel is like coming out of the closet and living your best queer and drag life. And this is what they're putting before the public, that it's okay to live a gay, transsexual, homosexual, drag queen life in the public eye under the guise that God will approve of this. Not only that, he says that God no longer has that kind of power because he gave it to us. I want you to understand, okay? So when you take the power away, you can't, but you take the power away from God and you put it with man, what is then allowed? Everything. Everything then from that point on is allowed. You can do whatever you feel like doing. And what ends up happening? I'll show you what ends up happening. Because once you see this and hear this, you won't be able to unsee and unhear it. Okay? So that's not a woman, okay? That is a man. That is a man in the pulpit preaching. We're going to play a couple of seconds for you.
So with many other exhortations, John proclaimed the good news to the people. Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated, and I'd like to invite any children or people who would like to see.
So, invites children. This is a church that is a active Lutheran church. That person is an ordained minister through the Lutheran church. Ordained. They're not even trying to say, hey, we'll do this during the adult males, or we'll do it when it's only adults only. They now invite children to come listen. Don't forget, don't take them to Sunday school. Come on, bring them. Bring them on in. It's all good. Let the children hear what I have to say. It is crazy to me that this stuff is allowed on such a grand scale now. We used to hear about the gay story time, the transsexual story time, and the drag story hour. Well, now it's become fanfare for dancing. They even have a Presbyterian church that has a dance routine that they put up. I'm not kidding about this. A dance routine. Look up Hillhurst Church. Hillhurst. Hillhurst. On YouTube. Just look it up. They have a person announcing that they have one of their very own drag personalities that goes to their church. And he comes up and he is in a bikini. A male in a bikini with long pink hair all the way down to his legs. And he's strutting across by the pulpit, and two others come on stage with him in full female regalia to dance for the congregation. This is now normal for what they consider church today. My question is, how did we get here? I mean, Corey hinted at it when he said that we should be ashamed for allowing it. Are you on fully now, or?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay,
Everything good.
What in your mind allowed this to even infiltrate the church to begin with?
Well, the biggest answer that I can come up with to make the point, and a lot of people may disagree with it, and hopefully, if you put some thought into it, you agree with me. But because we promoted it, we promoted it. We promoted it through how we raised our children. We promoted it through how we allowed what we allowed our children to watch and see, and we made it okay to them. We opened the door for the church to come in and indoctrinate the children. One thing that we have failed to do as Christians, as men, as women, as parents, adults, we have not trained our kids like God tells us to do. We have not trained our kids to watch out for these things. So and we did that because I believe that we was more disciplined to society and culture and the rules. You know, don't talk to your kids about this. Don't do this. Don't do that. And so we have to relearn that. You know what I'm saying? And when we seen it happening, we never stepped in and stood up. I mean, you should have people getting up and walking out of these churches for doing these things. You know, people say, don't judge. You can't listen. You can see with your own visual eyes when you see a man danced around like a woman in the church choir. That is a funny. Okay, you stop it. And if you see that going on in the church, you leave and you don't be a part of it. You speak against it, and that's it. But what happens is we get this hush mouth mentality because every time somebody say something and that somebody don't like, this is what they say. Oh, you judging. You judging. That's the number. Listen, that is the number one weapon that the enemy has.
You
Is
judging.
for to convince you that because I see something that God told me to hate. And let me say that part again so y'all can make sure.
Louder for the people in the back,
Yes,
because I think
since
they
y'all
might
like
be
to
hearing.
misquote what I said, and I know I hope some of the people that's watching y'all know who I'm talking about. When we call out something that we discern, not judge, discern, that God told us to hate, you turn around and say, "How dare you judge them? How dare you judge me?" If that's your definition of judging, then why are you judging me? So the problem is we pass judgment by our definition of judgment. The second thing that we did is we idolized our pastors. And when you idolize your pastor, that means you can allow them to get away with anything. Case in point, let's tell you. So if God did something that somebody didn't like, and they say, "Oh man, he shouldn't have did that," my excuse, I can say, "Look, hey man, that's God." We can accept that from God. That was God. He is the ruler. He do what he want. But when you put man on that pedestal to where anything he do is right, then you're idolizing that person. This is the exact reason why God tell us, do not idolize man. Do not have no other gods before me. Okay. So this is what we did. We accepted these people and these pastors and these churches as God. And so whatever they do is acceptable because we idolize them. You get it? Understood. So this is what one of the things that we did, and this is why we're in a situation that we're in now. And now all these things are being exposed, is being laid right out in your face. And then you got people jumping up and saying, "You said this and you said that, and you should," because God wouldn't want you to say that. God wouldn't want you to. You can't talk like that. Then you're going to run off the Christians. How can you run off a Christian from Christianity?
You can
I
run them off
really,
from a building, I guess.
I really want to know that. How can you run a Christian away from Christianity? If I listen,
Who
if
you
I
following
got that
again?
kind of power, hey, I don't get that. But yeah, that's the answer to my
I got something for you to judge right now. You ready to
yeah. Let me.
judge?
Yeah, I'm
I
willing to do
feel
that.
I feel a little judgy. You feel a little judgy? I
Yeah,
feel very
absolutely,
judgy. Here you go.
absolutely.
Judge this for me. Judge that for me.
That's what sissy.
This by the way, this is at church, okay? This is at a building they call a meeting for the church. That's what this is. Okay? You have a man, three of them. And okay. So we're not supposed to look at that and pick it apart for what is wrong with the picture, especially when they present it to the children there that you're supposed to be, like Corey says, raising up. We're supposed to sit in the back and say, "Oh, just accept them. They're looking for love and acceptance, just like sin is always looking for you to accept him. He even told
Exactly.
he told Cain that sin is crouching at your door. The more you allow it, it's waiting for you to screw up, to get a hold of you. And here we are saying we can't judge it. We need to shut up, be quiet, and don't talk about people like that. They're just lost. Yeah, they're definitely lost, and you joining them. That is exactly what's happening. Now, Corey, this crossed my mind, even though it was about the whole transgender nonsense. But this is what he brought to my attention. And the word is telling people how to preach. And you probably have seminaries like these people go to get their
Oh,
certificate. Okay. All right. So you
comedy.
have to learn how to preach. And you can't really become a preacher unless you go to some school to become a preacher. And then once those people tell you you're okay to speak, then you can speak. And only what they tell you to speak, you can speak, because you have to speak the way they spoke, because that's who you got your certificate from.
And that's regulated by who?
Not God.
The government.
Not God.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that 501c3 CPO thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that. And so I came across these guys talking. And do you remember how Jesus spoke in parables? Like all these stories that didn't take place, but he spoke them to give you an example of how something takes root in your life, or how things happen, and a story, okay? Their concept is that you have to tell a story, in their mind, in order to market the gospel. You have to market the gospel to your congregation, because people have to be sold on what you're talking about. This is the new, I'm not lying to you, this is how church is today. Church is viewed the same way YouTube operates. Why I say that? Well, you have to be able to get people to come to you, and you have to say things to keep their attention, and you have to apply it to their emotional level to make them cry a lot. And then once they cry, it sounds like BLM. Anyway, but once you make them cry, you you could make them believe what you're saying. It may not be true, but it's emotionally enough to make you want to go with it.
That's a fact.
And that is exactly how the preachers are. And if they're not making you emotional, they're making you mad. And if they're not making you mad, they're making you scream. Or they're screaming at you to make you feel intimidated
Oh
enough to
man.
follow them.
Don't even get me started with all that screaming.
Read
Read it.
Yeah, he another week. Hey, he's for another day. Eventually, they all crack. Okay. Eventually, they all crack, brothers. Eventually, you're gonna give it up. You're gonna give it up. Anyway, but that's a new mantra now. Which is why you can see the allowing of a transgender drag queen to preach. Why? Because you're going to appeal to people's feeling about equality. Now, the equality in God is not coming from my acceptance of somebody's lifestyle. Equality in God is by accepting God. We equally accept God. That's where the equality is not in my perspective. That's not what equality comes from when it comes into the kingdom of God. It has nothing to do with me. Okay? Because God is one-minded and single and focused. If it's like this, Corey, this is a pen. Nothing you can do changes that this is a pen. Once Corey and I recognize that this is a pen, we are of one mind. Not because Corey has a view about the pen and I have a view about the pen. This is just a pen. People today want to have their own view about something, and unless you share that view, we can't be one. It has nothing to do with your view. God is God, whether you like it or not, and in him there is no division. So as long as you accept him, you're good. But people want to make themselves, as Corey keeps saying, God. And if that's the case, then you can make any church you want, anyhow you want, because in essence, who are you worshiping anyway? Yourself. It doesn't really matter what God thinks. Which is why you could tell people don't do that, because God wouldn't judge. You know why? Because you're telling me I don't judge, and so you be like me. Not be like God, be like you. Ends up with these transgender churches.
Yeah,
It's going to get worse, because we look.
because we're allowing it.
Yeah.
They punking us out. They punking us out. And you know why they punking us out? Because we sitting there. I keep saying it over and over. Yap, 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 yap. Nothing. Nothing. We just sit there and let it happen. And then we let it happen. And then we say, what happened? You watched it happen.
You see what happened was you
Yeah,
shut up. That's what happened was
and
that you didn't say
see,
nothing.
you had told people when they speak out against it that they judging and that they wrong and all this and that. It's like it's crazy how you, and I'm on that judging day because I'm tired. Literally, I'm like literally tired. I'm tired of people saying that stupid stuff. It's because like here it is, you got two people speaking against evil, and then you got the nerves to step up and say, why you doing that? You judging, you doing it wrong. You have to talk so nice and gentle, the way the good Lord has called you to speak. And I'm not understanding, how do you know how the Lord has called me to speak? See, again, you plan God. And then when you can't control me, you get frustrated because you're not mad at me. You actually mad at God and don't even realize it. Because if I'm operating in the spirit of God, if whatever I do offends you, then who are you offended by? You offended by God. Don't take it up with me. Talk to him about it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how some of these people do. But we have to start speaking out against these. Listen, some people, different people are called for different things. You know what I'm saying? We're called right now today to speak about it. One day we might be called to be warriors and fight with weapons. I don't know. But whatever that is, then that's how you need to operate. But when I operate the way that I'm led to operate, what gives you the thought of even telling me to do it differently than how I'm doing it when I'm walking in the spirit? Either to check yourself or just keep allowing these things to happen. But we gotta start standing up against these things, and that's what we do. We spend a lot of time, a lot of hours doing this, and we do it, and it's working out because people are literally listening. People are changing. Look at yesterday how we spoke with the ghetto. You know, I believe, even though we still got to do the video, I believe we got to him. We helped him with some understanding. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't because when he came on the screen, we was like, hi ghetto, how are you? No, we was bold and we stood up like men and we roared like lions and we shut him down. Right? And then now he's able to help people. I guarantee it. Just watch.
And okay, so a time for war, a time for peace, right? Ecclesiastes, go back and look. It's a time for everything. There's a time for everything under the sun. Okay. The problem I think most believers have today that are following, not just believe, but are following, we have forgotten what it means to be, as Corey said, bold, but not just bold, but unapologetic. That is huge. There was a martyr. His name was William Tyndale. William Tyndale wanted to translate the Bible for the common man because the only people that had it was the Catholic Church. And he thought, well, that ain't cool. How I'm just going to listen to you to get God's word? And what if you lying to me? Suppose you lying to me about what you're saying that's in the Bible. I need people who will read it for themselves, like you're supposed to do, and get from God what they need to get. Okay? I want people to have it for themselves so they can see what you're saying and match it up with what was said. They killed him because he called out the king on his adultery via the Bible. Meanwhile, the church was upholding it because he was the king. Kind of, what's that thing that's happening today? Oh yeah, that 501c3 thing. Don't preach against the government because they're holding you hostage. Okay, they're holding you hostage. They put him to death. Do you think he cared about them putting him to death? No. Why? Because what he was doing was ordained by somebody that was not man-made. It was God that was telling him, look, if this is wrong, your job is to do what? See it, call it out, and not be ashamed to tell people that what they're doing is wrong, even if they kill you. Are we there? Is that what the church is now? Nope. What we got, and this is because they look. I know that we talk about they getting rid of the man, but this is more than just getting rid of the man. They got rid of God in the church. I don't even think he's there no more. I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think God's in many of the churches that we see today. I don't think he has anything to do with them.
I agree with that.
I don't think he's there. I think you have a hope that he might be, or you're saying that, but you don't believe he's not there.
The demigod they think is theirs, they pastor.
And a small g.
Yeah, they worship these people. They worship, and that's why they able to get away with. I'm telling you, man. If you really, it sounds so simple, but it's simple. It really is. It's so simple. The reason why we allow people to get away with things because of who they are is because we worship them. I'm telling you. Like, think about it. Like when you talk about certain people. No, not Elvis.
No, not The Rock.
Not The Rock. How not The Rock? How do you get that? You don't understand you being surprised or shocked, but we really shouldn't be, because we got to get rid of these expectations. Man, men are men. People are people. We see these things and we should already know that these things are coming, and we just ignore it. And the reason why we ignore it is because they size it up. They dress it up with a celebrity. They dress it up with money. They dress it up with fame. They dress it up with the TV, the radio, the music, and they make it appealing. And then we accept it because the majority of the people accept it, and we don't want to be an outsider. We don't want to be separated. Did you hear me? We don't want to be separated. We don't want to be holy. That's a separation. We want to be with the in crowd and do everything they do and believe everything they believe and walk and talk how they believe. Walk and talk like them. And that makes a difference. One day we need to talk about these rappers, Merlin, and I'm gonna tell you, Merlin brought it to my attention. Look, Corey, when they walk and talk and act like a hip hop rapper, and they talking about God, no, carrying guns, doing all this and all that. What is that about? We'll get to that another day, though.
Yeah. It's odd that you talked about the worshiping pastors. Someone sent me a video, but I can't find it now on Facebook. I think it was. It's a black pastor, and he had these women that came up to, like, on stage, and he was standing at the pulpit. He wears a gold crown when he preaches. He has a gold crown, and he wears this robe when he preaches to people, right? And they came up there, and this is what these. You remember seeing it?
You talking about the robbery?
No.
Oh, my fault.
No.
Okay.
He up there, and he's in a gold crown. He's wearing a gold. This is normal regalia for him while he's preaching. And they're telling him, "Oh, we love you so much, and we know the only reason that people find God is because they find you. And people cannot come to Jesus unless they come to you first. Because you are one of the Godhead. And we realize that. People need to recognize you as that because you're called to be that." This is how they're talking to a pastor. They put him as a gateway to Jesus. People won't know who Jesus is unless they talk to that particular pastor. Now, that's not a one-off. That people do that quite often. If you look at people like T.D. Jakes, if you look at people like Joel Osteen, Billy Graham, all of them, they all share one very particular way that people look at them. What is it? God's called? Is that what people tell us? We can't go after God's chosen. That's it. That's what they're called. God's chosen. The men of God. You can't go over a man of God. You can't talk about the man of God like that. I don't recall him saying no one is above reproach.
Yeah.
I don't recall that. Even us. I would hope someone would have the balls.
Me too.
I did say balls.
I can't say it.
Yeah, Brian. That's what Corey said. In case I'm just kidding.
If I said, hold on, if I said, I can't believe you said
You remember when Corey said balls? I remember him saying it first. He said it first. I want to back him up. I hope someone would have, let's put it this way, the spine and the wherewithal that if you heard us saying something blatantly off, that you would come to us and tell us and not be afraid.
Mhm.
I would hope. If anything we try to show you is that have the spine to do it. Because if you don't, we're going to end up just like these churches. You allow anything. Look, there have been churches where they have, and I'm sorry, this might offend some people. There was a church and they had a couple that came forward that had problems in that area of their life. And the pastor told them, well, the best way to have this solved is to do it up front, in front of the church. Yeah, that was his solve. His solve was to have them have an intimate moment in the church. That's where we are today in society. And no one left. No one saw any problem with it. Because why? They worshiped the pastor. The pastor was higher than God. And that's what you're going to see now. Like, it's the only way this stuff can pass is when you don't revere God and you revere man as your God. It's going to get, that's why I say it's going to get worse. It's going to get exponentially worse if we continue this, if we keep talking. I know Corey said he stopped going to these congregations a long time ago. And he more likely saw this kind of stuff coming down the pike. You know, once you see it once, you can't unsee it.
It was easy.
You know?
I mean, it was easy. It was easy. You just, I mean, they preaching from the Bible. You read the same, you study the same Bible that they preaching from, and you see all this garbage that they spoon from the pulpit, and you're like,
Don't
like
say
some
that.
of the, some of the stuff I didn't believe anyway because it's just logical common sense to me.
Yeah, but
And the Spirit of God was in me, right, and was showing me that's wrong, but I didn't realize the difference between the Spirit of God and the Bible. So I was more focused on the Bible versus paying attention to what the Spirit is telling me. But then when I lined up from the Bible that the same book that they reading from is false, I'm out of here. I even went to the pastor and said, hey, you know, well, first of all, I quit. You know what I'm saying? Then he called me and said, hey, man, we need to talk. And I told him why, right to his face, right in his office. And he didn't really say much. Oh, okay. Yeah. He was probably thinking, yeah, get out of here before you tell everybody else.
Tell everybody else what's going on.
Yeah, get out of here. You know, have a good one. You know, so yeah, I mean, you see that stuff and you realize it, you get up out of there.
I think I told you in our private conversations about my dad and how my dad was. So my dad was, if you think I'm bad, I came by it honestly, okay? It's in my genes. I can't help it. Okay, blame my pops for it, okay? This man would sit there, and mind you, when I tell you he loved God, he loved God. You couldn't tell him nothing about God that he didn't already know because he talked to God all the time. This was just him. When he was making shoes, that's all he ever did was talk to God the whole time. Okay? So he always aligned what was told to him with what the preacher was saying. And countless times this man would hear something come from the preacher's mouth and be like, it don't say nothing close to that. God didn't even say nothing like that. And so what he would do during the sermon, when he heard that idiotic thing come, he wouldn't wait till after the sermon. He would get up, go to the front, in the front, and sit down like this, and wait for him to be done. I just look at it like, all right, when you're
Man, I
done,
would be cracking up.
we got something to talk about. Like, where has that gone? Where have people
Right.
where you talk to God on a daily basis like you're supposed to, and you know the truth? So when you hear a lie, it should be easy for you to say, nope. That's how.
No, but you know they say instead, they say, "Cause my pastor said."
Yeah, my pastor said that.
The pastor said it. You got to watch this video. Look, he said it. What that mean? Because somebody says something, you just automatically think
Yeah,
that it's true. Like that's crazy.
we don't discern anymore because we are allowing other people to discern for us. It's no
Because we lazy.
Look, it's no different than the media. It's so crazy how the devil has the same markings everywhere he goes. He can't avoid who he is. He's the father of lies, right? If you watch, it's a carbon copy that what you see in the media, you see in the church. What's that? Fanfare to keep you from the truth, fanfare to keep you from the truth. Emotions to bring you to a message they want, emotions to bring you to a message they want. Avoid talking about the true God at all costs. Avoid talking about the true God at all. It's the exact same method across the board. Accept this person because of love. Accept this moment because of love. If
And
you
they
don't
don't even
see the
and they don't
devil,
even know what love is.
no, because they're marking it by their measure, not by
Yeah.
God's measure.
They don't know what love is. They don't know what judging is. They don't know what a man is. They don't know what a woman is. They just going around just talking, using words, man. Just you and it's sad. Like it'd be so hard to explain to people certain things because they just won't accept what the real meanings are. Like,
Period.
yeah, it's like so you like okay, so I say love, and you thinking I'm talking about a red heart.
Hmm.
It's like, man, so if I say Jesus, you thinking about this picture that you saw at church. How do you get there?
Hmm.
How do you get there? Man, I,
It's a sad state, Corey. It
yeah,
is a sad
it's a
state.
whole
That's the
yeah,
only way. That's the only way you could look at it. It's sad. It's completely sad.
yeah.
But the more people are aware, it. Sorry. More people should be able to see the truth the more they become aware. Unfortunately, the more people become aware, the less in tune they are to changing their minds. It's crazy. They'll see a truth and they'll be like, well, I get that, but I really like what I heard and I really like what I'm feeling, so I can't go against it. I can't. And again, this is the exact same thing the devil does. He brands. What happens when something happens in the hood, Corey, and you know who did it, but because you feel a kind of way about somebody or a code that you say you're abiding by, what don't you do? You don't snitch.
They keep it on the hush. You know what I'm saying?
If you think the devil different, he ain't different. He's exact. His markers are there. And once you see it, you know who it is. And if you see it and you still continue, that it tells you where your allegiance lies. You're not following God. These churches, they're not following God. They don't even know who the man is. They have no concept of who God is anymore. Who they're following is Beelzebub. They follow the devil all the way down to the pits of hell, and they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
Um,
And let Satan change the definition of everything. It's okay for you to sit in your window and watch somebody kill a kid in the middle of the street, and you don't say nothing because that's called snitching. And snitches get stitches, but the baby die. I don't get that. Snitching is when you doing something willingly, participating with somebody and doing something, and then you go off and tell on them. That's called snitching.
Hmm.
If you see somebody harm a kid, you're not gonna tell. If you don't tell, then you need to give them some sleeping pills by yourself. Either give them the medicine that they need or turn them in. We cannot keep allowing people to kill our children in the streets, and then while we say keep silent because we're real, I'm a real nigga.
you see,
That's what they say.
they're
I'm just
killing children twice, bro. They're killing them twice. I'm just realizing this. They kill the soul, kill the spirit, right, in the church, and when they walk out on the street, then you really kill them.
it's
And if you
bad.
don't kill them then, you kill them before they're born. So the whole thing is death. The church today is not life. The church today is death. I said it, and I'm not recanting any of that statement. The modern church is death. You might have one or two that still stick to it. You might. The majority of them, death. They breed death. And it's a sad state when every one of them that are pushing the things they're pushing are getting more traction than the ones that are pushing truth. But the good thing is that the ones that are pushing truth don't care about how many numbers, because there's better. I would prefer to have 12 people that are die hard for God than have 5,000 in the congregation that don't know him. I prefer to go to a little church in the corner in the woods or something that has 12 people that have dedicated everything they do to God than to go to a mega church where they don't even know who they're talking to. But it looks good. They got the music down, man. That music sounds good. I can get to that. Oh, that preacher know how to preach. He gave 3 points and he's good to go. Meanwhile, your soul is in the pits of hell and you don't even know it. Man, I tell you, bro. I tell you, this place is getting worse and worse. Every day it's getting worse and worse.
I suggest you guys read Michael Jones, Daniel Stetler, and Charlie. I don't know that these people. Maybe Merlin know them. I don't know these people. You know them?
H.G. Wells, I know.
What's up with him?
Oh, they're all theologians.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I know your view on theologians.
Huh?
I know your view on most of these people. They won't. Yeah. There are only Juliana. There are only a few people I ever read only because I know their personal life. That's the only reason I'll read them, or because their words were so profound at the time that they spoke not off because of the current events. They spoke because of what they lived.
To me,
one of them.
I'm sorry.
No. One of them was an atheist setting out to prove God was a lie. This is what he did. He said, "All right, fine. I'm gonna prove to you God don't exist." And you know what he went to do? And then somebody told him, "Go ahead and talk to God and see what happened." He said, "Okay, bet." C.S. Lewis, by the way, brain, like smart. He decided he was going to talk to God and prove to you that God don't exist. Guess what happened to him? It only took him about what, a month before he was like fighting. And he realized, you know what, man? You know what? Nah, God real, and not just real. I'm on his side now, and I'm running with him. People like that, I will listen to. But if you're just coming at me with a bunch of, talking points, I pick them very, very selectively.
I can't speak on nobody in particular that was on the list because I don't know none of them. But them theologians and them theologian types, they good at making things sound good. It's the way they say things, and you buy it because of the way they sell it and the way that they say it and the way they look when they say it and how they express themselves and make you and the way they dressed and the environment that they build. And I'm not into that. I call that game. And when people running game on me, I tend to either shut them down or get away from them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like I don't care how you say something. Like somebody said the thing earlier, it's like the way you say things. Well, if it's the truth, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't be able to take the truth and because of the way I said it, it's a lie. I don't get that. Or take a lie and because of the way I said it, it's the truth now. Or who said it? It don't make a difference. That's why I prefer logical. Logic, where does logic come from? Logic comes from God. So if all I need is logic and that comes from God, I don't need to go to nobody's school to be no theologian or what they call them. What's the other thing? The smart. I'm a scholar and all that. I don't need all that because I got God. I got the Spirit of God in me. And that's where I get my teaching from. That's where I get my understanding from. That's where I get my conscience from, my logic. And if that's not enough, I don't know what else to do. It came from God. So I don't need no title. I don't need no school. I don't need none of that stuff. All I need is God. And a lot of people are still failing to realize that philosophers and all that. I'm not into that. You know what I'm saying?
That's me. That's not him. That's me.
Yeah, I'm not into that stuff. It's all game because that stuff is game to me. It's just game, because you got all different kind of philosophers that teach on all different kind of topics. But God only got one. He only got one topic. A philosopher can be a philosopher of anything, and you never know which one you're listening to. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't deal with it. I just, deal with the Spirit of God. Let that be my guide and keep everything nice and simple. And that's the reason why God has allowed me to live this peaceful life. And I pray to God that he continue to let me live that peaceful life that I'm living right now until I die. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. I mean, hey, everybody got their own thing, but I'm cool.
And that's the thing. Everybody he will put people in positions to use where their strength is. Okay. And not just that, but he puts people in a position to understand him the way they can understand him. He will do what he has to do to make himself known to people. Plain and simple. You have people that he brought into this world, into his kingdom, that were diametrically opposed to each other. You're talking about a fisherman and a tax collector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you got, imagine this room. You're a fisherman. You're working for your money. And in walk a tax collector who comes at you to take your money. All of a sudden now, you and him in the same room, and he following God and you following God. And like, I don't know if I could be friends. We're after the same, we're following the same person. And you know what changes in both of them? Perspective. Perspective. But they both now, a fisherman can't go to talk to a tax collector group of people and make the tax collector people understand certain things. But you know what a tax collector can do? Go amongst the tax collectors after seeing God and relate to them. And a fisherman, the same thing, a tax collector can go amongst the fishermen and explain God to them in a way that they can understand, but a fisherman can't. So he will bring people into his kingdom and send them right back out. Gangsters, former gangsters are the best people to go talk to now. I can't, I'm telling you now, I wouldn't be able to step into Corey's world that he grew up in. They ain't gonna listen to me. He tells me stories all the time about how they view me. I'm not gonna go talk to them. They're not gonna listen. They're not gonna listen. So who are you gonna send? Who do you think he's gonna send? He's gonna send somebody they're familiar with. He gonna send Corey. And Corey can say something like that, relate in a very simple, direct, because he knows. And what they're gonna do. I ain't never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm going with my stupid history that I have. They're not gonna listen to me. They're not. So he will use exactly who he needs to use for when he, but you know who directs that? Not me.
God.
I can't go tell Corey to do this. That's not my job.
That's right.
The spirit will tell Corey, hey, by the way, man, hey, there's a guy, one of your old buddies, he gonna come talk to you. And when he talk to you, tell him exactly what he need to hear. The only thing Corey got to do at that point is like, all right.
and we have to discern that. We can't always think that everybody is for us. Sometimes it's been times where people have come to me and I say, look, man, call Merlin. You know, you need to talk to him. You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. You need to talk to Merlin. I'm gonna introduce you to him. You know what I'm saying? And we have to have the audacity, right? The audacity to do that, because a lot of times we get so caught up in pride that we always want to be the one that's to help. I got it. Let me help. Let slow down.
You might not be one, man. You might not be the one.
Right. And it's crazy because if you think about it, everybody want to be first. That's why every time if we bring up a certain thing, like we can bring up like what they was doing with the babies and all that, and we say, don't say that, everybody type it in, because everybody want to be the first to know. Everybody want to be the first to say, I knew that, I knew that. Calm down, relax, and do your thing. And walk with the spirit, and you'll be all right. And then you don't need acceptance from nobody. You don't have to care about who think you know the most. Do you know how many times I done sat around and looked at people and they think I'm the dumbest person in the room? It's funny. You know, inside you're like, this is crazy, but it takes a very humble person in a humble state of mind to sit back and just be like, okay, let them think what they want to think, because you know who you are, because you know what God put in you. And this is why we have to be confident with who we are. And you know what they do when you're confident with who you are? You know what they do? You know what the enemy do? The enemy say, you're arrogant, you cocky, you prideful. Why? Because you can't control me, because you mad at God. You mad at God for how he made me and how he set me up to deliver the message to whoever that may be. It might have been you. And you turn around and start calling these names. You would be amazed at how many emails I got. I mean, and I'm not gonna call no names because the one before is still talking, but one of them, one of the ladies, and I won't say her name. I know she listened. I won't call her out, but she accused. By the way, Marlon, she kept it real and she apologized. That was a good thing. She kept it real because I told Marlon about it. It's like you saying I said something that I clearly didn't say. I'm talking about clearly right in your face. But the enemy is steady saying, that's what he said. That get him. That's what he said.
Devil did that before. And
the enemy, and he tried to break us apart. He tried to separate us. He tried to get it to the point to where she don't watch us no more. And I really started to say some really bad things, and I had to humble myself. And I said, what are you talking about? This is what I said. But she kept it so real and came back and apologized. And that's what it's all about. And I gladly accepted it, the apology. But even if I didn't, she made right with God.
Hmm.
And that's it. But we so hesitant to do that because we so full of pride. And when we can't control how people act, we can't control what people say and how they deliver their message, we get mad and say, you arrogant. All because I didn't do it the way you wanted me to do it, because you've been indoctrinated to believe I should do it one way when God is saying something else. It's ridiculous.
I want to address this comment. I'm not coming at you. Okay. In the words of Corey, I'm not coming at you.
Just giving you some truth.
Okay. I want you to not conflate love with calm. Okay. Don't conflate love with calm. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I have a son. I have 4 of them. And if you know anything about boys, that's all I have to say. I got boys. I have boys. When I tell my child something and he doesn't listen to me, and then he goes over and tries to manipulate mom, and I hear it from my living room, I will say, Christoph! That's love acting
That's right.
out. It's love. It is love. In his mind, he hears rebuke. Love does rebuke. And he will come like this. What did I tell you as an answer? Why are you going to mom? My love for him does not dictate my tone because I have to have him understand authority as well. So telling them in love is not telling them, well. That is not love. Do not conflate love with being calm and quiet and passive. Love is not always passive. Sometimes love is very, very, very stern. And I'm talking about very stern. It's not violent, but it's very stern. And my child will know what I'm doing. You know why? Because I've also shown my son love. I have shown my son love in terms of I care, I will listen, and I will rebuke. But that doesn't mean I allow certain things to take place by just telling him calmly. It's not always calm. Sometimes if he's walking off a cliff, I can't say, Christoph, there's a cliff there. Don't walk off the cliff. I care for you. Don't walk off the cliff. No. If I have to run after him screaming his name and saying, what are you doing?
Get your little bitty.
I'm going to do that. If it means he's still not listening and I have to charge him from the side and football tackle him to the ground to keep him from going off that cliff, I have to, because I care and I do love him. But I want people to understand, me telling somebody how and what is wrong in a stern manner is still love.
That's
okay,
right.
it's still love. So I mean, I don't want you to make you think that you're wrong, but maybe perspective might be a little bit.
Yeah, and not only that, the reason why he don't want us to do that is because it puts a limit on love, and you can't. We don't limit love. That's not our job. And when you tell a person like how they got to talk, what tone, when, like that's going too far. You know what I'm saying? That's going too far, and you're putting limits on it. And a lot of times God don't want us to come off as soft. He wants us to come off with authority. Listen, it's hard. Listen, if you don't show authority, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose with your kids. You're gonna lose in this world out here. You're gonna lose everything you do. You're gonna lose.
Mhm.
You have to know when and how to show authority. And when you see authority, you can't sit there and claim that that's not love. When you can't even define love. When you ask most people what that, they can't even define it. But then you're telling me that it's not love, but you don't even know what it is. I mean, it's really wild, you know what I'm saying? And people need to really see things from a different lens, you know what I'm saying? Because when you discipline somebody, when you correcting somebody, I had a friend of mine call me today, and he told me, man, you used to get on me, and I used to get on him pretty tough, but I love him. He's like a brother to me. And he said, man, I'm glad you did that, because now I'm starting to see things differently. And believe me, I didn't talk to him like this. I talked to him with authority, and now he getting it. As a matter of fact, without saying the name, Ron, I sent you a tape. I didn't listen to it yet, so I don't know where it's at, but I sent you a thing. We'll talk about it later. Don't remind me. Yeah. But I can assure you that without even listening, that he's better off than he was. And sometimes it takes for people to get to a point. And instead of us just saying you have to be nice to him, sometimes you got to express that with authority. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line.
That's still nice.
Yeah. So and it's still nice, and a lot of times that's why if you notice when kids, that people say, kids want some discipline. They want it because the spirit, is begging for it.
Need it.
They need it. You know what I'm saying? So they want you to give it to them. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean beat them. I didn't say that. You know me. Hey,
they
bro,
want you to kick him in the face and beat him to the ground.
Said, beat them, babies. And then listen, people, stop lying on people. Golly. I know that's my personal thing, because I'm getting tired of it. Like the blatant lies. I can't believe it. You said this. I can't believe I said it either.
I remember when you said it. I remember I have it recorded.
Yeah. It's on recording. Pull it up.
But that's why you see people not being able to talk up about this. They'll get ridiculed for talking. Say, okay, take for instance, if someone were to go to a church right now that had this going on in it, and walked up to the front and directly condemned their action, they would get blasted all over the internet for being intolerant and bigoted and hateful against the transgender. Not go back and wait against God. No, they're hateful. The truth is an offense. Truth is an offense.
Yeah. So we hope that you all had a good time listening, had some fun, and got some encouragement. Maybe learned something. I don't know. Hope if you didn't learn nothing, I hope you taught something. And that way, we know that we had a live conversation, because we are not into dead conversations. We do not like dead things, dead conversations and all that. All right. So let's keep it alive. Let's keep it going. And we'll be back tomorrow. We haven't 100% decided on the topic tomorrow, but we 99.99% there. And we'll talk about tomorrow just in case we switch lanes. But stay alert, stay alive, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and then you'll be the first to know when we go live. And like I always say, wake up before you go to sleep. Peace. We out of here.